I guess there's lots that we already know. I think that that's been a real lesson during this season as a cultural producer. There's lots of conventions about how you do events and how you look after your partners that don't go away just because you're not doing face-to-face activity. We had to think about our routes to audiences, how we were going to promote the season, etc. But as well as tapping into some of those real conventions of what do we know, well, we had to just let go of some conventions as well. So, you know, in terms of routes to audiences, we had to be really flexible and follow the lead of our partners who didn't all use the same social media formats, for example. So we found ourselves presenting work on Instagram, Facebook Live, working with Teams, working with Zoom. So, you know, there was a little bit of a shake-up there in terms of our usual platforms. We had to go and follow routes to audiences, and I think that was fantastic. You know, a lot of new audiences, etc., that we were gathering along the way on YouTube, on Instagram, etc. 2020 was never going to be a year where there was going to be big events of scale and flair with super high production values that we may have imagined would have been the case in a conventional face-to-face season. But by having the frame and the convention of the screen as our platform, it gave us an opportunity to think, well, what are the strengths there? And there's something very strong about an intimate contact with the audience. There's something there about the opportunity to focus on the words being said, the focus on that relationship between audience member and artists, and play to that strength, that opportunity for digital warmth. Also, having the digital format really helped us in terms of reach and thinking about access and inclusion, both in terms of crossing over geographic boundaries for the season and reaching people across Italy rather than one venue in Italy, and globally, of course, but also thinking about and being more considered about our approach to access and inclusion. When did we use translation? When did we use captions? When did we audio describe different pieces? So there was lots of new ways of thinking about how we presented work to our audiences, and a lot of digital skills and upskilling, I'd say, for us as a producing team presenting the season. And that gave us a great degree of digital confidence. It also, in terms of the artists, it allowed them to evolve their practice. So the artists artists were telling us they were happy to reimagine work that potentially would have been on a conventional stage or in a gallery, and rethinking that. Artists are problem solvers. The season was a digital-led season, was a fantastic way for artists to show off their creativity in terms of finding solutions. So practice was expanded, digital were gathered, and we've all come out with a great degree of digital confidence as a result. Yeah, we piloted 3 online cultural salons during the season as a way of considering how to do cultural relations digitally. And you know, 2020 has been extraordinary in terms of shared universal concerns being so acutely felt across different nations. Those cultural salons that looked at the role of the creative independent and the freelancer, the cities and our festivals, and new business models, really allowed cultural professionals and civic leaders across Italy and the UK to share common concerns about sustainability, and a real hope and optimism about the shift that's happening in terms of an opening up of who is present, our season theme, of course, being who is present, and a real appetite for a more inclusive cultural sector with wider representation and diversity. That's a really strong theme that came across. A commitment to more inclusive leadership and sharing and distribution of power and decision making across the sectors in Italy and the UK was a really strong. And thinking about where culture has a role in terms of social infrastructure, where cultural spaces offer places of hope and solace, and where the work of our cultural practitioners can really explore and tap into and make visible some of the real concerns about recovery, but also the innovation of our cultural our cultural sectors universally can really help reset, reshape, and reframe our places. Well, it's been a real pleasure to be to have a role in the British Council's first ever digitally led season. Looking forward to 2021. I think we still have the sense that the future is blended. We have optimism about taking part in international working that's more face to face, but also now we have the tools and the flexibility, if and when we need them, to tap into what we've learned through working digitally more emphatically, to deliver and keep connected when the world demands that blended model. And as we move through this pandemic, and hopefully after this pandemic, that blended model and that digital way of doing cultural relations, I think is going to be increasingly important in terms of the environmental impact of international working in culture. So to be part of a piece of action research that explores how do you do that has been fantastic. And the season has offered a digital bridge between the UK and Italy this year, which I think feels very, very hopeful, and very proud to have been part of that.